Mila opened her eyes slowly as the morning sun touched her face. She was lying on an old blanket near the side of a quiet street. It was not a real bed, and it was not a real room. It was only a small corner behind a closed shop where she slept most nights. The air felt cold, and the ground was hard, but Mila tried not to complain. She was used to it now. Today was her birthday. She was turning 12. Most children her age woke up to balloons, soft beds, warm breakfast, and the voices of family wishing them, "Happy birthday." But Mila only heard the wind moving through the empty street. She had no gifts to open, no candles to blow, and no one to hug. Still, she whispered to herself with a small smile, "Happy birthday, Mila." She sat up slowly and pulled her thin jacket around her shoulders. The jacket was too big for her and had several small tears, but it was all she had. She brushed the dust off her clothes and folded her blanket. She always tried to stay neat, even when life around her was not. Mila looked up at the sky. It was bright and clear. She liked mornings because they felt like fresh starts, and every fresh start gave her a little hope. She closed her eyes and made a quiet birthday wish. "I hope something good happens today," she whispered. She did not wish for toys or cake or money. She wished only for something good, something small that could make her heart feel a little lighter. Her stomach growled softly. She had eaten very little the day before, just a small piece of bread someone had given her outside a bakery. She wrapped her arms around herself, trying to ignore the hunger. She did not like begging. She only asked for help when she truly needed it. Mila stood up and walked toward the park. She liked the park because it had benches where she could rest and a water fountain where she could drink. She walked slowly, her feet sore from days of walking without proper shoes. Yet she kept going, because she had learned long ago that stopping never solved anything. When she reached the park, she sat on a bench and watched people pass by. Children played with bright balls, dogs ran happily, and parents talked with warm smiles. Mila watched them quietly. She did not feel jealous, she only felt curious. She wondered what it would feel like to have a normal birthday, even once. A little girl rode by on a bicycle with colorful ribbons on the handles. She rang her small bell and laughed. Her mother called after her with gentle joy. Mila smiled at the scene. She liked seeing other people happy. Somehow, their happiness gave her strength. After a while, she stood and walked toward the bakery she knew well. She never asked for food directly, but sometimes the workers placed leftover bread in a small basket outside. Today, the basket was empty. Still, Mila felt thankful. The workers had helped her many times before. She brushed crumbs from the bottom of the basket, just enough to quiet her hunger a little. Then she continued walking. She looked at the shops around her, tall, bright buildings full of things she knew she could not buy. But she liked looking at them. They helped her imagine a different life, a life where she had a home, a school, and a family who cared for her. As she walked down the street, she remembered her last birthday. That day, she had been even hungrier, even colder. Yet she also remembered that a kind woman had given her a small cupcake from a cafe. It was simple, but to Mila it felt magical. She smiled at the memory. Even small kindness stayed in her heart forever. Now as she walked with no plan and no place to go, she told herself, maybe something good will happen again. Her steps were slow, but her hope was steady. She passed by people in suits rushing to work, young students carrying backpacks, and families shopping for the day. None of them knew it was her birthday. None of them knew her story. But Mila did not expect them to. She did not want pity. She only wanted a chance for life to be a little kinder. She reached another bench near a busy road and sat down to rest. Cars moved past quickly. People talked on phones or hurried by. Mila sat quietly, hugging her knees, watching the world move with purpose while she stayed still. Then she sighed and looked at her hands. "Just one good thing," she murmured. "That is all I'm asking for today." It was a simple wish, but she believed in it. Mila always believed that life had small surprises waiting, even on the hardest days. She did not know it yet, but today, her birthday, life had planned something more than a small surprise. Something big was waiting for her, something that would change her world forever. And it would all begin with something as simple as a wallet lying on a bench. Mila stayed on the bench a little longer, letting her tired legs rest. The morning had grown brighter, and the sounds of the city were now louder. Cars honked, people chatted, and the day was fully awake. Mila took a deep breath and stood up again. She had no place to be, but she did not like sitting too long. Moving helped her stay warm and kept her mind busy. She walked slowly along the sidewalk, looking at the shops and buildings around her. The city was large, full of tall glass windows and shiny doors. To her, it sometimes felt like another world, a world she could see but never enter. But she did not complain. She simply kept walking, step by step, following no path except the one her feet chose. As she moved forward, her eyes suddenly caught something unusual on a bench near the bus stop. At first, she thought it was just a small bag or someone's lunchbox. But when she came closer, she realized it was a wallet. A thick, dark wallet made of expensive-looking leather. It was clean, shiny, and looked new. Mila's heart jumped a little. A wallet this nice did not belong to someone ordinary. She looked around to see if anyone was searching for it. People walked by, busy with their own lives. No one seemed to notice the wallet at all. She hesitated. She did not like touching things that were not hers, but leaving it there felt wrong too. Someone must be missing it. Very slowly, with careful hands, she picked it up. It felt heavy. She opened it just enough to check for an ID, nothing more. Inside, she saw several cards, shiny and important looking. She also saw money, more money than she had ever held in her whole life. For a moment, her breath caught in her chest. Her stomach reminded her of her hunger. Her mind whispered how this money could buy warm clothes, a place to sleep, food for many days. But Mila gently closed the wallet again. "It's not mine," she whispered to herself. "I must give it back." Even though she had almost nothing, she could not keep what belonged to someone else. Her heart was simple but strong, and it always led her toward honesty. She looked at the ID card through the clear window inside the wallet. The name surprised her. Daniel Hart. She blinked twice. She had heard that name before. Everyone in the city knew it. Daniel Hart was one of the richest businessmen in the country. His face often appeared on large posters and news screens. People said he owned many companies, buildings, and charities. Mila held the wallet carefully, almost afraid she might drop it. How could someone like him lose something so important? And how had it ended up on this quiet bench? For a moment, she wondered if she should go to the police station. But the nearest station was far, and she had no ride. Walking would take hours. The address on the ID, however, was much closer. It showed the main office of the Hart Corporation, a tall building she had passed many times. Mila looked down at her torn jacket and dusty shoes. She felt nervous. Someone like her walking into such a grand place, people might stare. They might ask questions she could not answer. But she reminded herself this was the right thing to do. So she held the wallet tightly and started walking toward the tall building. The journey felt longer than usual. She walked past busy streets, across crosswalks, and around crowds of people. The city noise grew louder, but she stayed focused. Halfway there, she sat on a small stone wall to rest. Her legs hurt, and the weight of the wallet made her feel tense. What if someone stopped her? What if they thought she stole it? The worries filled her mind like dark clouds. But then she remembered her birthday wish. "I hope something good happens today." Maybe this was the start of something good, even if she could not see it yet. After a few minutes, she stood up again and continued moving. Finally, after what felt like a long time, she saw the building. It was tall, shining in the sunlight, with big glass doors and a large sign that read, "Hart Corporation." People in suits walked in and out confidently. They looked important, busy, and sure of their place in the world. Mila took a shaky breath. "I can do this," she whispered. She walked toward the entrance, holding the wallet close to her chest. Her steps were small, but brave. The automatic doors opened as she approached, letting her inside. The lobby was huge. The floor was bright and polished, and the ceiling seemed to touch the sky. A large desk stood in the center with 2 security guards nearby. One guard noticed her immediately. His eyebrows rose slightly, surprised to see a small homeless girl walk in. Mila stepped forward, nervous but determined. I found this wallet," she said softly. "It belongs to Mr. Daniel Hart. I want to give it back." The guard looked at the wallet, then at Mila, then at the name on the card inside. His eyes widened. "Stay right here," he said gently. "I need to call someone." Mila stood very still, her heart beating fast. She had no idea that this moment, returning a lost wallet, was about to change both her life and Daniel Hart's life forever. Mila stood in the large lobby, holding her hands together nervously. The security guard had walked away to make a phone call, but to her, it felt like he had been gone for a very long time. The building was quiet except for soft elevator sounds and distant footsteps. Everything around her looked clean, bright, and expensive. Nothing like the world she knew. She felt out of place, like a small leaf blown into a grand palace. People walking through the lobby glanced at her briefly. Some looked confused, others curious. Mila lowered her eyes each time. She didn't want anyone to feel uncomfortable. She only wanted to return the wallet safely. She held the wallet tightly against her chest. Even though she had already made her decision, the weight of it reminded her of the choice she had faced just an hour earlier. It reminded her of the moment she saw the money, the moment hunger tugged at her, the moment she felt the cold wind pushing her toward temptation. She remembered standing by that bench, staring at the stack of bills inside. Her stomach had growled then, reminding her of days without proper meals. She had imagined what she could buy with that money: warm food, a blanket, maybe even a night in a real room with a real bed. For a normal child, these things were small. For Mila, they felt like dreams. But she also remembered her mother's voice from many years ago, before life became so hard. "Mila," her mother would say gently, "even when life gives you little, you must give the world your honesty. That is your light. Never lose it." Her mother wasn't with her anymore, but those words stayed inside her heart like a warm candle. And so, Mila had closed the wallet right away and whispered, "It is not mine." Even now, as she stood in the tall building, she felt proud of the choice she had made. It gave her strength while waiting for the guard to return. Finally, the guard walked back toward her with a more serious expression, but also a hint of surprise in his eyes. Mr. Hart is actually in the building right now," he said. "He wants to meet the person who found his wallet." Mila's breath caught. She had hoped someone else would just take it for him. Meeting the owner, especially someone famous, important, and powerful, made her heart race. "Will it be okay?" she asked quietly. The guard softened his voice. "Yes, don't be afraid. You did the right thing." He nodded for her to follow him. Mila walked beside him toward the elevator. The doors opened with a soft sound, and she stepped inside. Mirrors lined the elevator walls, showing her reflection: a small girl with messy hair, worn-out clothes, and tired eyes. She suddenly felt embarrassed. What if Mr. Hart thought badly of her appearance? What if he believed she had planned something wrong? The elevator rose smoothly, and her thoughts grew heavier. When the doors opened again, the hallway was even more elegant. The lights were warm, the floor soft under her feet, and everything looked perfectly arranged. The guard led her to a large wooden door. "Wait here," he said before knocking lightly and entering. Mila stood outside the office holding her breath. She looked down at the wallet again. After a moment, she opened it one more time, not to look at the money, but to look at the man in the photo on the ID. Daniel Hart looked serious in his picture, with sharp eyes and a confident smile. Mila wondered what he would be like in person. Would he be kind? Would he be strict? Would he believe her story? The door opened again. "You can come in now," the guard said gently. Mila stepped inside the office. It was one of the biggest rooms she had ever seen. Large windows showed a beautiful view of the city. A long table stood in the corner, and a soft carpet covered the floor. Behind a wide desk stood a tall man in a dark suit. His hair was neat, and his expression was calm yet curious. Daniel Hart. He looked directly at her. For a moment, Mila froze. She had never been this close to someone so important. She swallowed hard and took 2 small steps forward. "Hello," she said softly. "I found your wallet." She extended her hands and slowly offered it to him. Daniel walked toward her and accepted it with care. He opened it, checked the cards, and let out a deep, relieved breath. "Thank you," he said, his voice warm. "I thought I lost it forever." Mila nodded nervously. I only looked for the ID to know who it belongs to. I didn't touch anything else." Daniel studied her face. He could see she was telling the truth. Her eyes were clear, innocent, and honest, something rare in the world he lived in. "Most people would not return a wallet like this," he said softly. Mila lowered her gaze again. "I know, but it was not mine." Daniel felt something shift inside him. This small child, who clearly had so little, had still chosen honesty over comfort. Her situation was obvious from her clothes and tired face. Yet she had resisted a temptation that many grown adults might not. He walked back to his desk and placed the wallet down. Then he turned to her again. "Tell me your name," he said gently. "Mila," she replied. "Mila," he repeated slowly. "You made a choice today. A choice that shows great character." Mila did not know what to say. She simply stood quietly waiting. She did not know it yet, but this moment, her honest choice, would soon touch Daniel Hart in a way she never imagined. Mila stood quietly in Daniel Hart's office, feeling small in such a grand place. The room smelled of fresh wood and soft perfume, and sunlight filled the space through tall windows that looked over the entire city. It felt unreal, like a scene from a dream she once had but never believed could come true. Daniel watched her carefully. He could see the nervous way she held her hands, the way her shoulders curled slightly inward, as if she was trying to make herself smaller. She did not look like a child who visited tall office buildings. She looked like a child who lived outside of them. "Please sit," Daniel said, pointing to a chair near his desk. Mila hesitated. Everything in the room looked expensive, too clean for someone like her to touch. But she quietly nodded and walked toward the chair. She sat slowly, almost afraid she might break it. Daniel took the seat across from her, folding his hands on the desk. "First, I want to thank you," he said. "You returned something very important." Mila shook her head. "I only did what is right." Daniel raised an eyebrow. "Not everyone would." Mila didn't answer. She simply looked down at her shoes, which were torn at the sides. She felt embarrassed again. She wished she had washed her face before coming inside. She wished she didn't look like a child who lived on the streets. Daniel noticed her discomfort. "You're not in trouble," he said softly. "I only want to understand what made you bring the wallet all the way here." Mila lifted her eyes slightly. His voice was calm, not sharp. She felt safe enough to speak. "I saw your name on the card," she said. "I knew you must be someone important. And I thought someone important might worry a lot if they lost something." Her voice was small, but her words carried honesty. Daniel leaned back in his chair. Her kindness surprised him. Most people who knew who he was wanted something from him: a job, money, favors, influence. But this girl? She wanted nothing, not even praise. "What's your full name, Mila?" he asked. "Just Mila," she said softly. "That's all." Daniel paused. Something in her tone told him there was more behind that answer, perhaps a past she didn't want to reopen. He tried a different question. "Where is your family?" Mila's shoulders tightened. She looked down again. A long silence filled the room. I'm by myself," she whispered. Her voice was barely audible, but the pain inside it was clear. Daniel felt a slow ache in his chest. He had seen hundreds of business deals, thousands of documents, millions of numbers. But nothing in those papers ever carried the weight of Mila's quiet words. "How long have you been alone?" he asked gently. "A while," she said. "I try not to count days. It makes me sad." She paused, then added, "I stay in different places. I try to be safe." The simplicity of her explanation struck him. She wasn't complaining. She wasn't asking for sympathy. She was simply telling the truth. Daniel looked at her fragile hands resting on her lap. "You walked all the way here just to return a wallet?" "Yes," Mila replied. "I thought maybe it would make someone happy." Daniel let out a soft breath. In a world full of selfishness and competition, this small child had chosen kindness over comfort, honesty over hunger. He stood up and walked to a small table in the corner where a tray of snacks and drinks had been left earlier. He poured a glass of water and brought it to her. "You must be thirsty," he said. Mila accepted the glass with both hands. She drank slowly, grateful for the cool water sliding down her dry throat. She hadn't had a proper drink since morning. "Thank you," she whispered. Daniel returned to his seat, studying her. "How old are you, Mila?" 12, she said. He blinked. 12. A child so young should have been in school, laughing with friends, safe inside a home. Not walking alone through the city with no one to care for her. "Is today a normal day for you?" he asked carefully. Mila hesitated, then gave a small, sad smile. "It's my birthday." Daniel's eyes widened. "Your birthday?" "Yes," she said quietly. "I don't have anything to celebrate with, but I try to stay happy." A wave of emotion washed over Daniel. A child alone on her birthday. A child who returned a wallet instead of using the money to help herself. A child who wished only for something good to happen. He sat back, overwhelmed. "Mila, why didn't you keep the money?" he asked softly. "No one saw you. No one would have known." Mila looked him in the eyes for the first time. "But I would have known," she said. "And I don't want to be someone who takes what is not theirs." Her words, so simple and clear, hit Daniel harder than any business lesson he had ever learned. Before he could speak, there was a knock at the door. His assistant stepped inside, holding a schedule. Daniel raised his hand slightly, signaling her to wait outside. His attention remained on Mila. She had no idea how deeply her honesty had touched him. She had no idea how rare her spirit was. She had no idea that this moment, this meeting, was already changing him in ways he could not yet explain. Daniel leaned forward, his voice full of sincerity. "Mila, whatever you need today, whatever your wish is, tell me." Mila looked surprised. She had expected nothing, not kindness, not interest, certainly not an offer, but Daniel meant it. And soon, the simple wish she would share next would move him in a way he never expected, a way that would make him feel emotion he had almost forgotten. Mila sat silently in the chair, unsure why someone as important as Daniel Hart was asking about her wish. She had never been in a situation like this before. No one had ever asked what she wanted. No one had ever cared enough to ask. Daniel waited patiently. His expression was calm, yet soft, as if he wanted her to feel safe. His office was quiet, and the warm sunlight touched Mila's hands as they rested nervously in her lap. "Go on," Daniel encouraged gently. "Tell me your birthday wish." Mila looked down. She thought carefully. She knew she should not ask for anything big. She also knew she should not ask for money. She didn't want him to think she returned the wallet for a reward. She had done it because it was the right thing to do. So she took a slow breath. "My wish," she began in a small voice, "is not about presents or cake." Daniel smiled softly. "That's all right," Mila continued, her words quiet but steady. "I just want a safe place to sleep. A place where I don't have to be scared at night." Daniel's smile faded gently into a serious, thoughtful expression. Mila looked at him, unsure if she had said too much. "I don't need anything big," she added quickly. "Even just one night somewhere warm. That would make me very happy." Her eyes lowered. She didn't want to seem greedy. But Daniel felt a heavy ache in his chest. A safe place to sleep? That was her wish? Not toys, not money, not a celebration, only safety. Something every child deserved without having to wish for it. He leaned forward slightly. "Mila, where have you been sleeping?" Her fingers twisted nervously. Different places, sometimes behind a closed shop, sometimes near the park. "I keep moving so no one tells me to go away." Daniel's eyes softened. "Are you ever afraid?" Mila nodded slowly. "Sometimes. Night is cold, and people don't always see me. I try to stay hidden." Daniel took a quiet breath. The thought of this small girl trying to survive alone in the dark made his heart tighten. "And today," she whispered, "I wish that maybe today would be a little different." Her voice trembled slightly at the end, but she quickly blinked back the emotion. She did not want to cry. Crying made her feel weak, and Mila had learned long ago that she needed to stay strong. Daniel's gaze did not leave her. He saw so much more than a homeless child. He saw courage where there should have been fear. He saw kindness where there could have been bitterness. He saw honesty where there could have been desperation. He swallowed gently. "Mila, you could have taken everything in that wallet. No one would have known." "I would have known," she repeated softly. "And yet," Daniel continued, "your wish is not for wealth or anything for yourself. You only want safety." Mila nodded. Daniel looked away for a moment, blinking slowly. He felt a warmth in his eyes he wasn't used to feeling. His life was full of numbers, meetings, deals, and business plans. He worked with powerful people, smart people, ambitious people. But in all those years, very few people had touched his heart with just a few simple words. This child had. When he looked at Mila again, his voice was deeper and calmer. "You made me feel something I haven't felt in a long time." Mila didn't understand. "Did I do something wrong?" she asked softly. "No," Daniel said quickly. "Not wrong. Something good. Something honest." He stood up slowly and walked toward the window. He stared at the city below. Tall buildings, bright signs, busy people rushing everywhere. So many resources, so many comforts, so many chances. And yet here was a child who had none of them, and still she had returned his wallet without hesitation. He turned back to her. "Mila, I want to help you." She blinked, not sure she understood. "Your wish," Daniel said gently, "is something I can give you, and I want to. Not because you returned my wallet, but because you deserve safety. Every child does." Mila stared at him, her eyes wide. "Really?" "Yes," he said, walking back toward her. "I promise." Her small hands trembled a little. She had never heard someone promise her anything before. But then she hesitated. "I don't want to be a problem," she whispered. "I don't want to make work for you." Daniel smiled kindly. "You are not a problem. You are someone who needs help. And I want to give that help." Tears formed slowly in Mila's eyes, even though she tried to blink them away. Daniel reached for a tissue box on his desk and gently slid it toward her. "It's all right," he said softly. Mila took one tissue and pressed it against her eyes. She wasn't crying because she was sad. She was crying because for the first time in a long time, she felt noticed. She felt heard. She felt human again. Daniel sat back down. "Is there anything else you wish for?" Mila wiped her eyes, thinking. She shook her head. "No, just a safe place." "That's all," Daniel nodded slowly. "Then today, your wish will come true." And at that moment, Mila saw something she never expected, tears shining quietly in the billionaire's eyes. Not because of her sadness, but because of her strength. Daniel sat quietly for a moment, gathering his thoughts. Across the desk, Mila held the tissue in her small hand, gently wiping the last trace of tears from her cheeks. She had cried softly, not loudly, like someone who had learned to hide her sadness so the world would not see it. Now she watched Daniel carefully, wondering what would happen next. Daniel finally stood up from his chair. "Mila," he said, "would you mind walking with me for a moment?" She blinked, surprised. Where are we going?" "To make your birthday wish come true," he said with a warm smile. Mila felt her heart beat faster. No one had ever walked anywhere for her before. She slowly rose from her chair and followed Daniel to the office door. He moved gently, making sure she did not feel rushed. The hallway outside was quiet, lined with soft lights and paintings of different city scenes. Mila's shoes made tiny sounds as she walked, and she felt shy walking beside someone so important. People passing by paused when they saw Daniel, but their eyes widened even more when they saw the small girl beside him. Daniel simply nodded politely and kept walking. They entered a private elevator. Daniel tapped a code on the keypad, and the elevator began to rise. The higher it went, the more nervous Mila became. "I hope it's okay," she whispered. "It's more than okay," Daniel said. "You're safe." When the doors opened, they stepped into a different part of the building. This floor was quieter, softer, almost peaceful. The hallway led to a group of small office rooms. Daniel stopped at one of them. "Mila," he said gently, "before I show you something, I want you to know something important." She looked up at him, waiting. "You didn't ask me for anything big," Daniel said. "You didn't ask for money or gifts. You didn't ask for comfort or special treatment. You only asked for safety. That shows strength and a pure heart, and because of that, I want to give you not just one safe night, but a safe path forward." Mila's eyes widened. She didn't understand fully, but her heart felt warm. Daniel opened the office door and guided her inside. The room wasn't large, but it was calm and welcoming. A social worker sat there, a kind-looking woman with soft eyes and a gentle smile. "Hello," the woman said. "You must be Mila." Mila stepped back slightly, unsure. "It's all right," Daniel said. "This is Maria. She helps children find safe homes and support." Maria gave a warm smile. "And Daniel has already told me a little about you. I'm here to help you, not to judge you." Mila nodded slowly. She trusted Daniel, and if he trusted Maria, she would try to trust her too. Maria spoke softly. "Daniel told me it's your birthday today." "Yes," Mila said, shyly. "Well," Maria continued, "we want to make this birthday special. The first step is making sure you have a safe place to stay tonight. We've arranged a warm room at a family shelter, a quiet, nice one, not crowded. You'll have a bed, blankets, and food." Mila gasped softly. "A real room? A bed?" She looked at Daniel. "For me?" she whispered. "For you," he said with a nod. "For as many nights as you need." Mila's hands shook. She covered her mouth, trying not to cry again. The idea of warmth, of safety, felt unreal. She had slept outside for so long that she had forgotten what comfort felt like. "And that's not all," Daniel added. Maria continued. "We can also help you get back into school. We'll help you with clothes, meals, and everything you need. You won't be alone anymore." Mila's eyes filled again, but she let the tears fall this time. She could not stop them. They were not sad tears. They were tears of relief, of hope, of feeling seen. "I don't know what to say," she whispered. "You don't have to say anything," Daniel said quietly. "Your honesty said everything already." He stepped forward and gently placed a hand on her shoulder, not heavy, not controlling, just reassuring. "Today," he said softly, "you gave me something important. You reminded me that kindness still exists in this world. That honesty still lives, even in hard places. And in return, I want to give you a chance to start again." Mila looked around the room, at Maria's kind smile and Daniel's warm expression. For the first time in years, she felt surrounded by people who wanted to help her, not push her away. She took a slow breath. I never thought someone would care about me," she said. Daniel shook his head gently. Many people will care about you once they know your story. You're brave, Mila. More than you realize. Maria stood up and held out a small notebook. This is for you, she said. You can write your thoughts, your dreams, anything that makes you happy. A fresh start sometimes begins with fresh words. Mila took the notebook carefully, almost as if it were made of glass. She opened it and touched the clean pages with her fingertips. It felt like holding a future she never imagined she could have. Daniel watched her with soft eyes. Mila, he said, today is your birthday. Let today be the day your life begins to change. Mila looked up and smiled, a real smile, bright and hopeful. Thank you, she whispered. This is the best birthday I ever had. And as Daniel stood there, he felt his heart swell again, because helping her didn't feel like charity. It felt like destiny. The sun was slowly setting outside the tall glass windows of the Hart Corporation building. The sky glowed with soft pink and orange colors, as if the world itself was celebrating Mila's birthday. Inside the quiet hallway, Mila stood between Daniel and Maria, holding her new notebook close to her chest. Every step she took now felt different, lighter, safer, filled with a kind of hope she had never felt before. Maria walked beside her with a gentle smile, and Daniel followed slowly behind, watching the young girl carefully. Her eyes were bright, yet a little overwhelmed. So much had changed in only one afternoon. It almost didn't feel real. They reached the main floor, and the security guards who had seen Mila earlier were surprised to see her again, this time smiling, standing between two adults who cared about her. Good luck, young lady, one guard said with a warm nod. Mila smiled back shyly. No one had wished her good luck in a very long time. Outside, Maria's car waited near the curb. It was small but clean, and the seats looked warm. Mila hesitated before getting inside. She looked up at Daniel. Will I see you again? She asked softly. Daniel smiled, not his usual business smile, but a warm, gentle one meant just for her. Yes, Mila, he said. You're not alone anymore. I'll check on you, and Maria will too. You have people now. Her chest filled with emotion again, but this time it was a soft, happy feeling. Maria opened the door. Come, Mila. Let's get you somewhere warm for tonight. Mila climbed inside and buckled the seatbelt. The car felt safe, like a small cocoon shutting out the cold world she had known for so long. Before closing the door, she waved at Daniel. Thank you, she whispered. Daniel nodded. Happy birthday, Mila. Maria started the car, and they drove off. Mila pressed her forehead against the window, watching the city lights pass by. Streets she had walked alone, benches she had slept on, corners where she had kept herself hidden. Now, for the first time, she was not walking alone. She was being taken somewhere safe. After a short drive, they arrived at the family shelter. It was a small, clean building with warm yellow lights glowing from the windows. There were flowers near the entrance and a sign that read, Safe Haven. Mila stepped out of the car slowly. The air smelled different here, calmer, like home. Inside, a kind woman greeted them. Welcome, Mila. We've been expecting you. Mila felt her heart warm again, expecting her. No one had expected her anywhere before. They led her to a small room with a real bed, soft blankets, fluffy pillows, and a little lamp. There was even a small stuffed bear sitting on the pillow as if waiting just for her. Her breath caught. This is for me? Maria nodded. Yes, everything here is yours tonight. And tomorrow. And until we help you find something even better. Mila stepped inside and gently touched the bed with her fingertips. The softness felt like magic. She sat down slowly, afraid it might disappear. It's real, Maria said, noticing her disbelief. This is your safe place now. Mila smiled, a full glowing smile. It feels like a dream. Maria sat beside her. Tomorrow we can talk about school. And new clothes. And maybe meeting other children here. You'll have help every step of the way. Mila listened with wide eyes. The future she once feared now sounded bright, like a book waiting for new chapters. Before leaving, Maria placed a hand on her shoulder. "Rest well tonight, Mila. You deserve it." When the door closed, Mila sat alone in the quiet room. She opened her notebook and wrote her first words on the clean page. "Today, someone cared about me." She paused, then added, "And I think life is changing." She closed the notebook and hugged the stuffed bear gently. For the first time in years, she felt truly safe. That night, Mila slept deeply. No cold wind. No fear, no lonely darkness. Only warmth, comfort, and the quiet promise of a new beginning. The next morning when she woke up, sunlight filled the room. She stretched and smiled. Her first morning in a real bed felt like waking up in another world. Maria arrived with breakfast, warm pancakes and fruit. Mila ate slowly, savoring every bite. "We have a lot to do today," Maria said cheerfully. "We'll meet a doctor for a checkup, get you some clothes, and then talk about school." Mila nodded eagerly. She wanted to learn. She wanted to grow. She wanted to become someone her mother would be proud of. As they drove back through the city later that day, they made one stop, the Hart Corporation building. Daniel was waiting in the lobby. When he saw Mila walk in, clean and smiling, his heart lifted. "How was your first night?" he asked. "It was perfect," Mila said with a bright grin. "Thank you for everything." Daniel knelt slightly so he was closer to her height. "No, Mila, thank you. You reminded me how powerful honesty and kindness can be." They talked for a while. Daniel asked about her plans, her hopes, and her dreams. Mila shared her desire to study, to one day help others the way she had been helped. Daniel looked at her with pride. "You're going to do great things," he said, and Mila believed him. Weeks passed, and Mila settled into her new life, with school, new friends, warm meals, and helpful adults guiding her. She met with Daniel often. He checked on her progress, listened to her stories, and encouraged her dreams. Their bond grew strong, a bond built not from wealth or reward, but from kindness and honesty. Mila never forgot the day she found the wallet. And Daniel never forgot the girl who returned it. Her birthday wish had changed both their lives. And this was only the beginning of her new story.